So what if I told you that an entire Minecraft world could be fit into one block? Would you believe me? Well, this is Minecraft One Block, where an entire world is fit into this one single block, which is completely infinite and will always respawn no matter what you do. So this block can even spawn mobs, animals, and even mob hordes. There are 10 waves on this block, and on each wave, a different mob or different blocks will spawn. My overall goal is to beat the Ender Dragon and also get to the 100th day, hopefully safely. I don't really know if I will, but that is the main goal of the series. If you guys do enjoy this series, make sure you do hit the like button, 200 likes, and we will record a second episode. Thank you very much, and let's jump straight into it. Before we start, I just want to say that the realm actually crashed after completing the first day, which is actually why we are starting at night. So on day 1, the first thing I did was start mining the infinite block to gather resources so we could expand the island. I then made a crafting table and gathered just enough wood so I could craft every tool I needed to mine the blocks faster. While I was mining the infinite block, my first ever animal spawned in, which was Larry the pig. And then 2 minutes later, I brutally murdered him. And just as the sun was rising for day 2, this weird looking chest spawned in, and this was when I realized I was already on to the stage number 2. And this was where the game lied to me and told me I was on stage 1, not 2, which severely disappointed me. As I sat there mining, more and more different types of blocks started spawning in and gave us a larger variety of stuff for our island. More and more animals started spawning in, so I thought it was about time to build an animal farm. Once I had built the farm, I started mining again, and after about 5 minutes, we actually reached level 2. I then crafted a full stone loadout and got back to mining. And it was on early morning of day 3 when disaster finally struck. A stupid creeper put a massive dent in my island on day 3. That is not what I want from this. I do not want that. However, quite soon after, the iron started rolling in from the generator, and we were very quickly able to get up to iron tools. And on the evening of day 3, my very first pet dog spawned in, and I named him Barry. However, I didn't actually have any bones to tame him, so I just left him on the island for a minute. And on the night of day 3, I also made another big mistake when I didn't realize that Arctic foxes like to kill animals. I made quick work of the new pests and carried on getting the materials to make my bed so I could finally skip the night. And luckily, none of my sheep were harmed by the Arctic foxes, meaning that we could carry on making our bed. I then chose to expand my island so I could make a separate part of the island that I will eventually be able to build my house on, and somewhere where I could put my new bed down. And finally, I got to have that good night's sleep that I finally deserved. And little did I know that day 4 was about to be a big day. After almost dying to things I didn't even know existed, I had to rethink my game plan. I had to think of a new strategy to fight these unknown things. So my first course of action was to make a giant hole around the block and replace it with trapdoors, so I could pull the trapdoors when needed and make any unwanted mob fall down the hole, and that way I wouldn't be in the situation that I got stuck in last time. As day 4 was coming to an end, a dog actually spawned, and I decided to name this dog Larry after the pig that died on day 1. I successfully tamed both Barry and Larry and put them next to my bed so that they would be safe from any mobs that spawned from the generator. I then decided it was time to sleep, and I woke up to day number 5. I spent most of day 5 killing mobs and also breaking the generator so I could get as much resources as possible. So I spent the rest of the day mining and even managed to get my generator to stage 4. And as day 5 was coming to a close, I actually got my very first diamond, which was an incredible moment because that meant we could now start to get our diamond tools and diamond armor. And the last thing that I did on day 5 was make a water source using the ice and the water bucket that I had gotten from the generator. I then constructed this beautiful little enclosure that I made for my turtles that just spawned, and I was going to hopefully breed these turtles in the near future, but I wasn't quite sure yet. On day 6, I decided that it was about time I built somewhat of a house so that I could protect my stuff and make sure that I wouldn't lose any items to things such as creeper explosions, and somewhere where I could hide in case any mobs spawned. Quite soon after finishing my house, a new monster party spawned, and this one proved to be a lot harder than the first one we experienced.
Bye, have a great time.
After the Outer Guardian physically jumped off the island, all I had to do was kill the rest of the drowned. The rest of the day was spent mining, and just to finish it off, a few more drowned spawned in just before the day came to a close. So to start off my next day, an Outer Guardian spawned, which made me not be able to mine because I got given mining fatigue, which meant I couldn't mine for half my day. So during the period where I couldn't mine, I decided to move all of my stuff from outside into my new house, which I was going to build. Whilst getting some materials to do this, the generator actually upgraded, which meant we were now on phase 4. I also got my third and final diamond, which meant I could now craft my diamond pickaxe, which meant I could get obsidian and also mine a lot faster. Not long after, I got my first introduction to the Vexes, which I have actually never seen before. Once the Vexes were dead, I decided to spend a day just making my house better and actually finishing it off like I was supposed to do a few days previous. Once I was finished with the house, I was constantly being ambushed by the mobs from the generator, and this got extremely annoying, but I had to get through it and get to the end. And it was when 2 Vexes spawned in that I had no clue that they could fly through buildings, and this is how I ended up taking my first owl of the series. As soon as I got back to mining, even more mobs spawned, and this was getting extremely repetitive, and even more mobs were spawning, completely slowing down the process of me getting through the levels. On day 16, we actually got the next upgrade, which was to level 6 on the generator, which meant we could now get even more blocks and even more mobs. Whilst mining, my very first villager spawned, which meant that we could use this to then trade for better items and also breed them so that we could get lots of different enchant books and many other things. So I actually took my second owl on day 17 when a mob with an iron axe spawned in and actually 3 hit me, which was very upsetting, but I did manage to get my stuff back. Shortly after that I almost died again, but luckily I managed to escape on just a few hearts left. On day 19, my second villager actually spawned, which meant that I could now breed them, so I actually decided to keep these guys safe by building them a house. Shortly after building the house for the villagers, my generator actually upgraded, which meant we were now on phase 7 and we could now get blocks from the nether. Shortly after reaching the upgrade, the ancient debris started to roll in, which meant we could now upgrade our armor into netherite whenever we needed. And from that point on, everything went downhill. And after losing all of my stuff to the fire, I decided I had to make an enclosure around the generator so that I could stop the fire from spreading and also make it that the mobs couldn't get out so that I could easily kill them and trap them inside. My enclosure proved to be even more useful than before when a gas spawned and a mob horde, which almost caused a lot of trouble. However, the enclosure actually saved me, meaning I could easily kill all of the mobs inside. Once I had defeated the mob horde, I decided it was time to enchant all of my armor and tools so that I would have that advantage over any new mobs that spawn, and also be able to mine all of the new blocks more efficiently. A few days later, using my newly efficient tools, I actually reached the next level on the infinite block. I spent most of these next days mining, and the only thing that I really got that was interesting was actually a skeleton horse and an undead horse, which actually both spawned from the infinite block. Many days actually passed before I finally reached the next upgrade, which was level 9 on the generator. Instantly onto the new level, I actually encountered 4 skeletons on skelly horses, and all of them were taken care of pretty quickly. Whilst mining, I had the biggest scare of my life when this guy spawned in right in front of me, and I legged it to the other side of my island. I then returned to take down the hostile and quickly carried on mining so I could eventually work my way up to taking down the Ender Dragon. The worst thing possible happened when the guy that spawns Vexes spawned in front of me and started absolutely destroying me from all sides, and I completely and utterly panicked and had no clue what to do, and I ended up dying. I then heroically picked my stuff back up and ran back in to kill the guys that summoned the Vexes so that it would only be me and the Vexes left on the island. I then went and picked all of my stuff back up that I had just dropped in the generator so I could finally kill these Vexes that had already killed me twice. However, I completely forgot that the Vexes could fly through buildings, and I ended up dying yet again. I picked my stuff back up again, and luckily all of the mobs had flew away, which meant I could no longer be attacked because they were out of attacking range. The next thing I actually did was build a cobblestone generator so I could make my island have a little border around it, as well as have a cobblestone fence going all the way around my island. I then decided to move my animals further away from the generator just in case something like a creeper or something destructive spawned in, so that I could keep my animals far enough away so that they would stay alive. I then spent a few days moving all of my stuff from the top half of my house and outside down to the bottom half of my base, which was going to be used as storage. And yet again, another mob horde spawned. I managed to fight off the first few waves of Vexes, but then I realized that there was a mob inside there spawning the Vexes, so I had to go in there and kill him. I managed to kill the mob, however, I accidentally got myself killed in the process. I then killed off the final Vexes that were flying around and got back to doing my own business. I then decided it was about time to get my god enchants from the villagers by using a lectern to get enchant books. This now meant that I could make a god sword, however I still needed sugarcane so that I could get emeralds to actually buy the enchants. And finally, after 52 days of hard work, we finally reached the end phase on the generator. And after 30 more minutes of mining, it finally happened and we finally unlocked the end. The first thing I had to do was get geared, so I opened my chest and made sure I had everything possible that was useful to me in my inventory and ready to go for when I entered the end. I did this by crafting diamond armor and then upgrading it into netherite, and then I also made a crossbow and a bow so I could shoot the dragon when it was in the air. I then placed a final Eye of Ender and we went straight into the end. And after destroying all of the end crystals, it was just me and the dragon. And on day 57, we defeated the Ender Dragon very barely. Very barely. He almost killed us many times. But we actually did beat him, and we managed to get all the XP and also the Dragon Egg, which I still haven't figured out how to pick up. Once I had defeated the Ender Dragon, I was very confused for a few days on what to do, but then I decided to make my island look a bit nicer. I wanted to make my island look good, and I also wanted to get more blocks and more prepared for any future videos that I want to do on here. And I started by making this little platform around my Ender portal and using a little secret tunnel underneath to get in and out. I spent more and more time mining, which obviously meant that I encountered even more mob hordes. I opened up the trapdoors so that all of the endermites and endermen would walk down into the ender portal, and that they would despawn when they went into the end. A rogue shulker actually levitated my dog, and Barry almost floated to the moon whilst doing this, but luckily I MRG water bucketed him and he survived. I was only joking, I completely failed the water bucket clutch. Shortly after that, a charge creeper spawned in, which blocked me from escaping the little building that I had built around the generator, so I had to sit there with my shield and let the creeper explode. Sadly, Barry had not gone back inside before the creeper exploded, which meant that Barry actually died to the creeper explosion. I then spent a few days fixing the mess that had been caused by the creeper explosion and also making the island look a bit nicer. My next goal was to actually get to sugarcane so I could finally enchant, and also use the villagers to get more emeralds. To do this, I had to mine using the block, and this meant that I encountered way more monster guards for roughly about 10 days. Finally, after many days of hard work, I actually managed to get the sugarcane, which meant I can now build my farm. Once the sugarcane had been placed down, I decided it was time to go back into the end and also try and go to end cities. Unfortunately, all of the mobs that had been pushed into the end portal had not actually despawned and were all waiting there for me, so I kind of died again. I remade another set after losing all of my stuff to the void and decided to instead work on my island and not try and get myself killed anymore and lose any more stuff. I decided to go back to the end, and this time I was going for the dragon egg, which I was going to put on my island and use as a decoration to make it look better. However, I had no clue how to pick it up and ended up just leaving it there. I had also gathered a lot of end themed blocks from the generator, so I decided I was going to make an end themed building on my island just to add a little bit of detail to the island and make it look a bit more intricate than it actually is, because I don't think my island was as good as it could have been. However, I still did like my island and wanted to make it better. Unfortunately, I underestimated how many blocks I would need, and I ended up not using the right amount, which meant that I ran out of blocks halfway through. And the final thing I did on my island was build a 100-day memorial for the 100th day. Thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry the ending was so dull because I didn't have that much that I could work with after I defeated the Ender Dragon, although I tried to keep it interesting and hopefully you guys did enjoy. Make sure you hit the like button. Let's hit 200 likes on this video and I will do part 2 of One Block. And yeah, thank you for watching and see you later.